Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Canadian Crypt, and today I'm going to be taking you back to 1983 to take a look at the camp slasher classic, Sleepaway Camp. But before I get into it, I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who's checked out the channel so far. Today actually marks my first official month on YouTube, so if you've liked, watched, shared, or subscribed to the channel, I really appreciate it, and it helps me out way more than you know. So with that out of the way, let's get into the review. Sleepaway Camp was directed by Robert Hiltzik and stars Felissa Rose, Johnathan Tierstan, and Karen Fields. The film starts out with a father and his two kids enjoying a day on the lake, but tragedy strikes when an out-of-control speedboat crashes into them, killing the father and one of the children. Angela Baker, the surviving child now traumatized by the accident, is sent off to live with her strange Aunt Martha and cousin Ricky. Ricky and Angela are then sent off to Camp Arawak for some summer fun, but shortly after their arrival, things take a horrific turn when campers and staff start getting killed off one by one. Now, what did I think of the film? For a slasher film of its time, it has a fairly steady pace throughout, and I thought they did a great job at building up the tension while keeping mystery behind its killer. Just when you think you know who the killer is, you're thrown a curveball which takes you in a totally different direction. This just makes that iconic twist even more shocking and effective at the end. A majority of it is shot through the killer's point of view, which gives another level of mystery. I love how creative they got with some of the kills. A couple standout kills for me would include the scene where one of them goes to use the bathroom only to have a beehive dropped into the stall, causing death by hundreds of bee stings. Talk about attacking a guy when he's most vulnerable. But there is a scene where a giant pot of boiling water is spilled onto Artie, the head chef, causing severe burns all over his body. Not only did the burns look real, but this guy was a total creep right from the beginning of the movie, spouting off disgusting one-liners.
Look at all that young, fresh chicken. Where I come from, we call them baldies.
He even made advances towards Angela.
You sure are a sweet-looking little cupcake, Angela.
So overall, he was just a sick This just made his demise all the more satisfying. And honestly, this is the case for a majority of the characters in this movie. They set them up as characters that you love to hate, so in reality, you're rooting for them to die. Another great example of this would be Meg.
By the way, for those of you who don't know, the name is Meg. M-E-G.
Who ends up getting slashed down the back in the shower. And we can't forget about that bitch Judy who bullies Angela relentlessly throughout the movie.
She's a real carpenter's dream. The lad is a board and needs a screw. That's enough!
She gets a curling iron stuck somewhere that it doesn't belong, causing an excruciating death. I was actually quite surprised with the acting in this movie. Sleepaway Camp is one of those prime examples where the child actors totally outdo the adults. More specifically, the character Ricky, played by Johnathan Tierstan. He gave zero shits in this movie, and he never backed down, and he was never afraid of anyone who would give Angela a hard time, making him a strong character that you're rooting for throughout the movie. I also thought Felissa Rose did a great job at playing the character of Angela. Sure, the character may not have much for dialogue, she just plays an antisocial girl who relies heavily on facial expression. I think Felissa killed it, and I highly doubt it would have been nearly as effective if the role was played by somebody else. Especially the ending. Speaking of endings, I gotta talk about that major twist. And just a heads up, this is a big spoiler. It's with this twist that sets Sleepaway Camp apart from all the other camp slasher films. At the end of the film, two camp counselors discover Angela sitting next to the lake holding Paul's head in her lap. So now we know that Angela is the killer. But it's then when she stands up and gives one of the most haunting facial expressions you'll ever see in your life. This facial expression alone has started a cult following, and if you ever meet Felissa Rose at a convention, she still does the face. But when the camera pulls back, that's when we get the twist. That's right. She has a penis.
God, she's a boy.
It turns out that it was really Peter who survived the boating accident, not Angela. But when Peter went to go live with Aunt Martha, she didn't like the idea of having two boys in the house. And since she had always wanted a girl, she decided to raise him as one. This is one of my favorite twists in horror history, and it doesn't matter how many times I watch it, it never gets old. Now, what didn't I like about the movie? Now, as much as I thought the kids did a great job with their roles, the same cannot be said for the adults. Let me show you.
Oh my God. Not too bad.
See what I mean? And I gotta take a moment just to talk about Aunt Martha. What the hell was her inspiration for that role?
Oh, I remember what it is. I knew I wouldn't forget. I just kept reminding myself. In fact, I tied a string around my finger so I wouldn't forget.
This has to be some of the most cartoon-like acting I've ever seen in a live-action movie. In all honesty, it really seems like she's on the verge of a mental breakdown. And to be honest, it was a little over the top for me and kind of took me out of it. But at the end of the day, Sleepaway Camp is one of those iconic slasher films that every horror fan should experience. And I would give it a solid 8 out of 10 just for that ending alone. So if you've never seen Sleepaway Camp, what are you waiting for? Go watch it now, you won't regret it. What did you think of Sleepaway Camp? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Have you even seen it yet? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for checking out the review. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit it with a like. And if you aren't already, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Canadian Crypt, where I let you guys decide on the videos I'm gonna make next. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay scary.